A very good morning to all the participants. I welcome you all to this online lecture. The topic of the lecture is Mantra for Wellbeing, Interpersonal Relationships and Forgiveness. We have with us Dr. Usha Vasthare and Mr. Vasant Jajoo. I welcome you both, Usha ma'am and Vasant bhai, and I would request you to take over and start the presentation.
Good morning and welcome all of you. It's a very nice and interesting topic to end the year with on the topic of interpersonal relationships and forgiveness. So I would like Usha aunty to straight away dive into the topic, straight away get us started with the topic.
Okay. Namaste. Good morning to you all. I'm going to turn off the video and because my internet connectivity is quite unstable, I only hope, wish and pray that you're able to hear me continuously, that it is truly a prayer. Is mantra for well-being. Vasant and I came up with this title, which is befitting for this back. I've been pondering over this based on many years of my life experience, and I can unequivocally, but truly mantra for evolving. My experiences as a child, as a young adult, an adult, Pachara Kendra and Vinoba Ashrama, and my experiences at Ramakrishna ashramas all over the world, I bring this to you. Yes, I think my voice is breaking, but I have no idea. My internet connection is not working.
Great. Yeah, I think she's able to get some Wi-Fi connectivity, and we'll just wait for her to get it ready. I personally wanted to also, in the meanwhile, since we have the time, share my own thoughts on this very interesting topic on forgiveness. I must say, every time I have heard her, it always has given me a little more insights into what is forgiveness. It's very deep and touching topic, very emotionally sensitive at the same point of time. Normally, we have done this forgiveness workshop at Yogakshema, right from a very short 2-hour introduction to right up to 2 days of residential retreats just on the same topic. So we are all eager to listen to her about basically things about what is forgiveness. We all tend to seem to feel for ourselves that we understand what is forgiveness, but when we look at it in its deeper sense about what forgiveness is not, and most important as to why should one forgive, specifically when it is somebody else's fault, when it is clear the other person is also willing to agree to that, and still, despite that situation, why should we forgive? And she brings in a nice scientific basis towards that. Why, even in those situations, we forgive. We, of course, are ready to forgive when we are completely convinced that it is our fault. Um, but quite often, we also need to learn to forgive when we know that it is somebody else's fault. Many times, the other person has agreed, accepted it, and in certain situations, the other person is actually um, done and gone. He's no more existing. He's already passed away. But we are still living with some sort of baggage about certain experiences. And how do we forgive to enhance our mental well-being? And why forgive in those situations? So those are some of the things that we would like to hear and get a brief preview into this. In the end, uh, time permitting, we would also like to go through a forgiveness meditation, and that should happen in the end after we go through intellectually understanding about what is forgiveness. So I think while Auntie is getting ready, I thought it would be nice for us to sit and just go through the mindful breathing practice. Ravish bhai? Yeah.
Yes, Vasant, perfectly fine.
Okay. So let's all settle down. Gently keep our eyes closed. And let's take some deep breaths. As we are taking slow and deep breaths, let us feel our posture. Let's make ourselves further comfortable. And let us relax our facial muscles, neck muscles, and with a calm and quiet mind, let us direct our entire attention at the nostrils. Feel the breath flowing through the nostrils. Watch our breath. Observe our breath. Let us find out whether we are predominantly breathing from the right nostril or left nostril. Or maybe simultaneously and symmetrically from both the nostrils. Just feel the nostril dominance. Let the breath remain as slow and deep. Let us use the breath to get deeply anchored to the present moment. Here and now, now and here. And let us remain connected with the breath. Remain connected with this life force, pranic force within us. And with that, let us gently rub our palms over each other, generate enough warmthness. And keep your palms on your eyes, relax the eyes, eye muscles. And slowly open your eyes. Thank you. Yes, I'm glad Hushanti is back. You're muted.
Okay, yes. I think even if I just stop here, this will make us understand. It's an experiential um, uh, ending for the session on well-being. If I didn't have some meaningful and purposeful relationship with my neighbor, whom I hardly have much contact, but I just see him and see the family on the lift, they are the ones who came to the rescue. I think this is an experiential one, as I was saying. For this, it is very befitting, this experience. Anyway, I will start off, as I was saying, this topic that Vasant and I chose, mantra for well-being. Just this morning, I've been reminiscing on this, and I feel this is not the mantra just for our wellness and well-being. This I am saying through my experience as a child, as a young adult, as an adult in this country and abroad, my experiences at Yogakshema, my experiences at Nisargopachara Kendra and with Vinoba Ashrama, and lately my experiences with Ramakrishna Ashram. I am just saying that this is the mantra for evolving as better human beings. And I'm saying this in the most humblest manner. And I would like you all to take the essence of it. The significance of this mantra is truly my offering to you all. And this is coming out from the depths of my heart. Just like for poets, a literary work comes out either in the form of an ode, a sonnet, a poem, a kavya, mahakavya, or a story. In a similar manner, for artists, how a masterpiece comes out. Whatever I'm going to be sharing with Vasant, and I'm just expressing right now, but I can assure you, with so many years of discussion with Vasant, both of us feel the same way, especially with this topic. So the way to evolve, this is the mantra, which is two things. One is building and nurturing interpersonal relationships, and also utilizing our innate potential that we have to the fullest extent. This utilizing the potential that we have to the fullest extent cannot be possible to work out in isolation. Just like what Vasant was talking about, happiness is not singularity, cannot be enjoyed in singularity. It is the similar way. Utilizing each one's potential to the fullest extent, it is kind of impossible to do single-handedly. The potential that we are trying to utilize to have an impact, to have an influence on others, we need the understanding, experiencing and working together as first maybe team, as a community, at a national level, at the humanitarian level. And you might ask, why should we have an influence on others? I won't go into that issue. We should take it up another time. But if we have experienced what Vasant took us through, that guided meditation on interconnectedness and having gratitude and the loving kindness meditation, guided meditation that we went through, we will be able to understand why should we have an impact and influence on others through our work. So we're going to focus today only on building and nurturing relationships and not about utilizing our potential to the fullest extent. So to build, to nurture meaningful and purposeful relationships, the act of forgiveness, the aspect of forgiving is a must. No second thoughts about it. In Sanskrit, it says, idam mitham. Without meaningful and purposeful relationships, we cannot be well, we cannot be peaceful, we cannot be happy, and it's definitely not possible to evolve. So with this introduction, let us go through what Vasant and I have put together for you all for today's session. Let me start sharing my slides. You're able to see.
Yes, we are able to see.
Thank you. Health can buy longevity, but not peace and happiness. Wealth can buy us comfort, but not compassion towards others. Only through nurturing relationships can we be peaceful. Only through nurturing relationships can we be happy. Nurturing relationships are the way for our well-being, and nurturing relationships are the way to evolve. And as we have been saying, this evolution of human beings, as we believe at Yogakshema, is not a stage to reach, but it is on a moment to moment basis. And this can happen, will happen, and should happen until our last breath. This is another way of how we can be utilizing our innate potential that is within us. The prayer, Serenity Prayer, we at Yogakshema has modified this prayer. And we have chosen this prayer because it is highly scientific too. Not just faith-based, but it is possible to implement and obtain the benefits of this. It goes like this: let me cultivate the serenity to accept and evolve with the things I cannot change. Earlier, we used to say, accept and deal with the things I cannot change. Accept and adapt with the things I cannot change. But we have changed that to accept and evolve with the things we cannot change. And let me draw on my courage and develop skills to change the things that I can. And let me utilize my wisdom to know the difference and keep evolving until my last breath. Just this prayer, if we can put this into practice every moment, every day, every moment, I think it's a way to be evolving without any doubt. One second. Ravish Bhai, how do I hide this? There is a, okay, fine, thank you. Now, wishing for, now let us just change our gears. Let's come to the act of forgiveness, why we should forgive, what is forgiveness, and some misconceptions of forgiveness and what forgiveness is not. And we will end with the session with Vasant's guided meditation way of forgiving. So are you wishing for an understanding spouse, and more loving parents, more loving children, more trustworthy friends, diligent colleagues? Are you wishing for more sensitive boss? Our difficult, who is not, right? Yes, we have understanding spouse, loving parents, everything, but we want more. Nothing wrong with that. We want our spouses to be even more understanding so that it can be a joyous journey. Our life can be a joyous journey itself, right? And all of this, who is not wishing for it? In the same way, our difficulties and disappointments come down to not having our wishes and desires met in some way or other. So hopes and expectations not being met is what leads to understanding and implementing the act of forgiveness, either for ourselves or forgiving ourselves or forgiving others. Again, have you been hurt? Have you been misunderstood in your life? Have you been offended in some way? Have you been lied to? Have you been attacked? Maybe verbally. Physical attacks are easier to deal with. But have you been attacked verbally, emotionally? Have you been attacked for your ideas, for your learnings in life? And have you been rejected? If so, this is the reason to be learning to forgive. And not only that, we need to forgive to be, of course, happier, to reduce our negative and difficult emotions, to boost our health and well-being, to improve our relationships, to end suffering to whatever we are going through, and finally, to be evolving in our lives. This is the reason truly to learn to forgive. And there are many more reasons, but when we have taken the top few, that is enough. And who should forgive? Many a times we have this notion that forgiveness one has to do if you're a victim of any situation or circumstance. But forgiving is not just for victims, but it is so for every human being. Just like I say, only few people will get into depression in their lifetime, but everybody without any exception, whether they know it or not, will go through anxiety sometime in their life or other. Because one of the main reasons for anxiety is the uncertainty about the future. In a similar way, each and every individual must and should know what is forgiveness and how to forgive, and to be able to forgive first ourselves and so others. Difficult experiences can create mental grooves that become very challenging to replace. We don't have time to go into the forgiveness project another time, another day. But this was a huge research project that was done in US, and this is coming from a scientist. And forgiveness is one of the names we give to replacing those grooves of negativity. And the ability to do this is one of the keys to mental health. Very profound. They're not using the technical terms like we use, like hardwiring and rewiring. What he's talking about in the first place, the mental grooves, is that it is hardwired. That is the technical term that we use. And it is possible to rewire the brain. And this is what he's talking about. So from that, let's move on to the act of self-healing. We are humans. We are not perfect. With our knowledge or without our knowledge, whether we know it or not, we would have hurt somebody. We would have hurt somebody, and especially our loved ones. So first we need to understand, only through self-forgiveness can we truly start healing. But it is our ego that says many a times, I have not done anything to hurt anybody. All it means is our self-awareness is not activated enough, and our ego comes in the way even to accept this, that with or without our knowledge, we would have hurt others, and especially our loved ones. Once that awareness comes, true spiritual journey starts from there. So, what is self-forgiveness? Self-awareness and acceptance of our own faults. We're humans. This happens, but we don't have to be hard and unkind for ourselves. This is also what we need to learn. Especially this is what we experience through that guided meditation on loving kindness that Vasant took us through, all of us. Let us first be kind to ourselves and understand and bring up our self-awareness to accept and to forgive our own faults. And self-forgiveness is putting an end to the self-punishment you may have inflicted on yourself for things either you may have done or you may not have done without our knowledge. And sometimes, even if you have not done, if the perception of somebody else is that you have done the mistake, even thinking about it and to forgive ourselves for that will truly help the other person also to come out of that. And how can that work? It is very similar to the power of prayer. When we actually pray for whatever that has happened, we want to change certain things. We have tried everything and it's not possible. Putting lot of effort, conscious effort, when it is not possible, we go into that mode of prayer. Then what happens with that prayer? When we do it in such a pure manner, with the purity of purpose, we eventually see the other person first seems to be changing. And when the prayer continues, it is not just seems to be changing, but the other person slowly but surely will be changing. You might ask, how is that the miracle? I will say, no, it is not just a miracle, but it is because without our knowledge, we are changing how we are looking at the situation, how we are looking at the person, which is what will make the other person also change. That's another topic, another time. But I just wanted to connect, especially with when we forgive ourselves, we can even see the relationships also improving. Self-forgiveness is about letting go of regret, self-pity, and the guilt that is associated with it. So, what is forgiveness? Is forgiveness a thought? Or is it a feeling? Or is it an emotion? Is it an action? Is it a behavior? I say it is all of this and much more. It is a process which involves all of these, not just one of this. So what is forgiveness? Going deeper and further, if you just have to remember this, it is a shift in thinking. Just like Yogakshema's favorite phrase, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. In a similar manner, here, what is forgiveness? Sometimes we don't have to do anything, just a shift in our way we are looking at things. What is that? A shift in the way we are thinking, the way we are looking towards somebody or someone who has wronged you. A shift in thinking such that your desire to harm the person who has wronged you has decreased. When I say this again with a word of caution, it is not that we want to take revenge or harm the other person. We try to do that at the thought level. If this person says these things next time, I'm going to reply this in this way. Either trying to prove ourselves or to make sure he gets it the right way. I'm going to give it back. Lot of time this happens in our heads. Even that has to decrease. And it is a shift in thinking such that your desire to do good to that person who has wronged you has increased. Now, the third aspect, if you see, for all the problems at an individual level, for all the problems that we have at the level of the family, for all the problems that we come across at the level of community, for all the problems that we see at the level of at the national level with various different political parties, with various different religious groups, and not just at a national level, but at an international level. If we can just follow this motto, yes, it might be utopic, but we have to have the highest ideal and try to follow this. At least at an individual level, it is going to be possible, I can assure you. And that is where Gandhi's statement of you be the change that you want to see in the rest of the world is so befitting. And that has to become mantra with respect to this. So what is forgiveness? Forgiveness is a powerful, it's a conscious, willful, and effortful choice that you make when you are actually ready to be evolving. It can lead to better health, of course. It can lead to better well-being, of course. And it can lead to probably better relationships. I use that word probably with a word of caution. We will see why we have used that word probably in a few minutes. And forgiveness needs willpower. And just willpower is not going to be enough. It also needs the right knowledge, samyak jnanam, of what we are going through right now. Without the right knowledge and just using the willpower to be able to forgive is not going to cut it. Willpower with the right knowledge is what is going to give us the results, whatever we are expecting. And that right knowledge, we can go through in this way, in the most scientific way. And another time we can discuss, or during Q&A, how should we use the right knowledge from a spiritual perspective, from the scriptural knowledge perspective. That is another issue and topic which is separate. So again, what is forgiveness? At a minimum, forgiveness is a decision to let go of the desire for revenge and ill will toward the person who has wronged you. And at a maximum, if I can say, forgiveness is a decision to be doing the right thing and the noblest thing toward the other person who has wronged you. And then we would have truly understood what forgiveness means. And again, switching gears, forgiveness, we think we do it for somebody. Somebody has wronged me, so I am going to be forgiving that person. But truly speaking, forgiveness is not something that we do for others, but we do it for ourselves so that we can get well and move forward, so that we can evolve and help others evolve too with this. And especially the person who has wronged you will be able to see that also. What forgiveness is not? Forgiveness is not the same as reconciliation. Yes, just by forgiving, that does not mean we're going to have reconciliation. Everything is going to be like before or better. And I want to be associated with that person too. No, it may not lead to reconciliation. At times, it should not lead to reconciliation at a different level. We will see. until and unless you get to the spiritual angle, it doesn't have to lead to reconciliation. Forgiveness is definitely not forgetting. Forgiveness is not a weakness. Mahatma Gandhi says forgiveness is an attribute of strong people. And forgiveness is not justice. Forgiveness is not trust. It is not about, okay, I have forgiven this person, I'm going to trust this person completely from now on. It's not even about that. And continuing, forgiveness is not a one-time event. As I said, it's a process, lifelong process. Forgiveness is not the acceptance of injustice. That means you don't accept somebody who has wronged you. You just separate the person from the action and you forgive the person, not the actions. Forgiveness does not mean you no longer feel the pain. Again, the only way to get out of pain, in my opinion and in my experience, is only to go through at a much deeper level from the scriptural level. And that is when that we don't feel the pain. And we keep praying. Whenever you convert that pain into prayer at those times. Yes, because of our hardwired habits, the pain comes back. That is when you convert the pain into prayer. Always said, convert your suffering into service and pain into prayer. Forgiveness is not denying any wrongdoing or approving the mistake, as I just mentioned. Separate out the person from the action. And forgiveness is not conditional. I will forgive if he asks me an apology. I will forgive if she tells me whatever she did also was wrong. Absolutely not. It has to be unconditional if we need to be evolving. If you just look at the level of being healthy and well, it can be conditional. It can be much, much easier at much different level. But I'm taking a notch higher to see how this is not just for our well-being, but to be truly evolving as human beings. So let us understand the misconceptions of forgiveness. Usually people think, oh, forgiving is a religious experience. It is a spiritual experience. You have to believe in God to be able to forgive. Absolutely not. It can be a spiritual experience depending on the case, but it is not even that. That is why the forgiveness tools that we give, both a right-brained approach and a left-brained approach, is highly a scientific way without bringing any spiritual or religious aspects. And we think, if I have forgiven somebody or a circumstance, then I should not remember. Because let us say it's between two people, and then you would have said, okay, I've forgiven that incident, what you did, let's just forget. Usually that phrase comes naturally after forgiving and forgetting. But after some time, that thing comes back again, and then you bring it up. And the person says, you still have not forgotten, you're still saying and doing the same thing again and again. But forgiving does not mean that we have forgotten. Then what do we do if we keep remembering that incident and we keep remembering the hurt? At that moment, we need to forgive. Every time you remember the incident or the person, forgive from the depths of your heart. When we keep doing this again and again and again, it becomes such a habit that we will be able to let go. That letting go has to come after forgiveness. But usually it is the other way around for us. We try to let go and it does not help. Then we learn to forgive. But if that letting go comes after forgiving, then it becomes a quick tool. Letting go becomes a very quick tool every time we kind of remember the incident or the person. Forgiving someone means one treats them the same way as before. Doesn't have to be, except if it has to become a spiritual experience. Yes, it should. But I add to that, sometimes 3 different levels. Just because we have forgiven somebody, we don't need to be treating that person just like how we used to treat before, because that person does not know we have forgiven, and the person is not trying to change. He or she will be acting the same way, behaving the same way towards us. So we have to figure out ways and means to be treating the person in a different way, of course in a kind, compassionate manner, but in a different way to protect ourselves. And this will be for certain types of people whom we could forgive. For certain others, once we have forgiven, if the previous relationship experience was beautiful, then we have to go back of treating that person the same way as before. The third option is, after we have forgiven, we should actually treat that person even better than before. In my experience, in my opinion, this can happen only when we take a spiritual angle, and especially the ultimate Advaitic angle, and there is no other way. Forgiveness means saying that the offense was all right. Absolutely not. Separate out the person from the action. For all of this, the mantra is separate out the person from the action. Whatever the behavior, the actions, we need not approve, but we accept the person. Expecting the other person to ask for forgiveness. We think, this reminds me of an incident 15 years back when we were working with many old age homes in Bangalore. And one of the old age homes, I still remember, in Malleshwaram, Rama Vruddhashrama, I think. An elderly gentleman who was residing in that old age home, he told me about this. You know, ma'am, I am ready to forgive my son, but he has not asked me. I'm just waiting for him to ask. That is where all of this, to be honest with you, if I think back, to be able to put this in a structured manner, to be able to help me and others came about. That was the seed. How, in a purest sense, that elderly gentleman, his face is still I can remember, I don't know his name, that doesn't matter. But when I made him understand, it took me quite some time, several visits to the Vruddhashrama, an old age home, for him to trust what I was saying, to him to accept what I am saying. It took several visits, but he was finally able to accept that. And at that time, we didn't have any tools. I had not come up with certain of the tools to be able to do this for him, just through how would I say, rudimentary way of making him go through some meditative practice and prayers. I could share that with him. But this is one of the common misconceptions that most of us have, and rightly so, because this is how we understood forgiveness. It is somebody has wronged us and he or she has to ask for forgiveness, and then I'm ready to forgive. We need to completely come out of that way of thinking. And even more so, we say, by forgiving, you expect the other person to change. People have asked, I have forgiven her, but she's still the same. She has not changed. Right away, it won't happen. As I said earlier, over a period of time, if we have forgiven in the truest manner, which means our thoughts, our feelings, our behavior towards that person, and how we look at that person would change. And that is the only time the other person might and will start to change. That is a long process, but we should not even have any of the expectation. Keep referring to ourselves, keep our focus on ourselves, and we need to keep forgiving again and again and again, and not expecting the other person to change. If you just use logic, it doesn't make sense. I've forgiven it, this person. I went through the forgiveness workshop, and that person still hasn't changed. It doesn't work that way at all. It's a lifelong process. But I can assure you, the deeper we go to be forgiving and to let go, later on, you don't even need to forgive. Move from forgiving to letting go. And by experience, again, I'm saying, if that other person does not ignore you, it is definitely possible even for the other person to be able to change. If there is no relationship between the two, I don't think it is possible for the other person to change. If it is, I'm talking about between two people, there has to be, or between two teams and whatnot, for the other person to change, it is always the communication has to go on. The interaction has to keep going on. Otherwise, it is not possible for the other person to have chances for the other person to be changing, or the chances of other person changing will be very remote. Another important aspect is forcing somebody to forgive. This certainly is a no-no, because if one is pressurized to forgive, it will do more harm than good for that person. How, you may ask? Because forcing a person to forgive may lead to blaming the victim. Oh, it is your own fault, so you better forgive. And the victim becomes even more victimized. That state of being a victim will deepen. If for it to be a healing process, nobody should force anybody to be able to forgive. They need to come on their own accord. They need to be ready to be able to forgive. That is why I know many of the people have taken this workshop many times, because each time we go through that forgiveness, we are going deeper and deeper in even understanding all these aspects. And again, forcing somebody to forgive will lead to self-blame, again, which leads to the victim mode. It may even lead to shame, not knowing what the person has done wrong, but has been victimized. Not knowing, not able to analyze, will go into feeling shameful. And again, it will lead to suppressing and denying negative feelings. The more we suppress our negativity towards the situation or towards the person who has wronged us, it goes deeper and deeper into the subconscious level and makes it harder and harder to come out of this. And it happens especially with introverts, without making any value judgment about introverts, because their nature is to hold everything inside. And many of the introverts that I would know, they would have taken a vow not to say anything negative about others, or not to show anything negative about the other person, only to show only the positive things. It makes it even more difficult. They will be going deeper and deeper with the negative feelings about the other person, not expressing at all. It will do more harm than good at that time. And excusing or tolerating inexcusable behavior. This, I will take an example of extreme situation so that you will be able to understand what I mean by forcing to forgive somebody. And especially it leads to tolerating inexcusable behavior, especially with many people that I have seen in West, come across in West, even before even starting Yogakshema, while working with various women's groups there, various NGOs, you see situations, women in situations wherein they are being abused physically, they're abused mentally, they're abused financially, but not knowing how to come out of that situation, because you develop a relationship, even the victim becomes how would I say, not culprit, victimized more, thinking I'm the one who has done something wrong. I'm the one who has done something wrong. That is why this person is treating. Or even in our tradition, thinking, oh, it is my bad karma. Whatever I've done in the past is leading me to be like this with this person. And come to think of it, whenever people use this karma theory, they go into this forcing somebody to forgive, will lead to unsafe situations, being with people which could be very unsafe. So remaining in an unsafe or unhealthy situation and continuing to be harmed, all of this starts because the person gets into the victimized mode, and it is extremely difficult to come out. Because I'll give you an example. During my visit to one of the countries, which is South Africa, just recently, this year, last few months, I saw many people being in the victimized mode because of the violence that they have gone through as a community or at an individual level. They are so victimized, they are not ready to forgive. And I've been saying this for the past few years. The only way you can come out is to be able to learn to forgive. But I can understand that too. I'm not blaming them feeling this way, because if your own husband is killed in your own house, in front of your own son, or your own brother being killed by a stranger, and how, for no fault of theirs, or through the same community, you are trying to serve them through various religious institutions, and the same people come back retort and heinous crimes, going up to the level of murdering. So many of them are in that victimized mode. It is not possible for them to forgive. They are not ready yet. But they'll be able to see the only way for them to be truly evolving is to be able to forgive. Now, they're using that as an anchor to be able to live through everything that they have gone through. But to be able to forgive so that they can think of others in a different way. Think of that community, or think of that person, which family that it came through in a totally different manner. But if we force people who feel victimized to forgive, it will cause more harm than good. So switching gears again, when something bad happens to us, there are three choices. We can let it define us. Maybe I did something bad in my past janma. Maybe without my knowledge, I have done something to this person. That is why he's doing. And then I have to accept. If we just take a quote unquote religious perspective, and especially the karma theory, many a times anything bad happens will define that person. This is where it will hurt that person so much that that person will not be able to utilize the potential that person has within themselves to be able to even come out of such situations. As I'm talking to you, I'm developing this thread of understanding. Bear with me. When I have come across with people who believe in the karma theory so strongly, they are not able to utilize their innate potential to the fullest extent possible to be able to come out of that. Until and unless we truly learn to forgive, even if they believe in the karma theory, it is hard for people, especially Indians, and it is happening even in West when I see that. They're believing in karma theory. Even Buddhism believes in karma theory. It is hard to come out of that. Even if somebody believes in the karma theory, just say, whatever I did in the past Janma, now I have no power, but I have the power now to be able to change that past in the present moment. I'm going to overcome whatever I did in the past Janma to be able to change the situation in the present moment so that I can create a better future. If we can use this in a logical manner, in a scientific manner, and maybe use either scientific tools or religious tools or whatever it is, it doesn't matter. No need even to label. We will come out of that mode of the bad situation defining us. And if we let it define, we also let it destroy us. They go hand in hand. This is coming out from the depths of my heart, dealing with individuals who have gone through bad situations and no fault of anybody too. Not even them, not even the other person, but yet suffering. The only way out is to forgive something, not even knowing what it is, which is the past Janma theory. So we can, from now on, start using the third choice, which is it has to strengthen us. If the bad situation or the person who has wronged us, if we let that person or the situation define us and destroy us, then we are giving the person, we are giving power to that person. We are giving power to the external circumstance. But if we let it strengthen us, then we take the power. Along with the power comes the responsibility. We take the power and we can let it strengthen us. So make forgiving a personal journey and choose to forgive now, and choose to forgive willingly and experience the benefits of forgiveness. Holding on to hate and anger does not make us a strong person. It actually weakens us. Holding on to anger may not be hate, even anger, or ignoring the way, one of the ways that we cope with a bad situation or a circumstance or a person who has wronged us is to be able to ignore the situation and ignore the person. That does not make us strong. We have to take, as they say, bull by the horns and deal with this. We need to go through this. As again, one of the ways of looking mindfulness is to go through the storm and then go into the center of the storm, the eye of the storm, wherein it is always, always peaceful and no turbulence. That can happen only when we go through the storm, not if we avoid, not if we ignore, not if we take a different path. If we are at war with others, we are not at peace with ourselves. Simple but beautiful quote. Very profound, very powerful. And you might ask, sometimes it's not even being war with others. I have so much doubts and confusion. I'm at war with myself. Even that cannot happen. War and peace do not coexist. We need to replace. That reminds me of Mother Teresa's saying. I'm going to paraphrase. I cannot say that verbatim. She says, if you call me for a meeting or to work against war, I'm not ready. Call me to work towards peace, and I'm there. And there is a huge difference. You might ask, what is the difference between not or working against war and working towards peace? A whole lot of difference. Again, not the time to go into deeper, just to remind you of Mother Teresa's quote and then move forward. Extremely different way of looking at working towards peace as opposed to working against war. To be angry is to revenge the faults of others on ourselves. Does that make sense? Just ask the question, does that make sense? Of course not. Just use logic is enough not to get into either hatred or angry emotion. So with this, I'm going to conclude and open up the floor for questions. Don't confuse revenge with justice. Separate out the person from the action. You need whatever actions that you need to take for some injustice that has been caused for you. Do that. But nothing against the person. Not an iota of ill will towards that person. And find meaning in the suffering. It is hard for people to accept. If we keep finding meaning in the suffering, any challenge that we get, any misunderstanding by others, any kind of suffering that we go through, we take it as a blessing. We don't need to invite challenges. Without inviting, we get into a lot of challenges that may lead to suffering. But without inviting, when that happens, all the challenges, we take it as a blessing because we find meaning in suffering. We come out of that suffering right away because suffering is again nothing but that repetitive thoughts and feelings that go in our head over and over and over again, which is nothing but suffering. We find meaning into that challenge that we are facing. So meaning in the suffering, this is a quick way of getting out of suffering. And the more you focus on gratitude, the more completely those old bad feelings toward those who have hurt you will lift away like a cloud. Cloud does not have any real existence. In a similar manner, all those ill feelings and negativity and whatnot truly does not have any real existence. If we truly believe in those things, then we can just come out of that by feeling grateful for that person who has wronged you, by feeling grateful for the circumstance that has made you go through the suffering, by figuring out the meaning in suffering and taking it as a blessing. That is the ultimate. So being unforgiving affects our psychophysiological state. I don't have to go through in a scientific manner. Take it from me. Understanding the connection between our body and mind, understanding our connection between our mind and our gut, understanding our connection between our mind, body, and our behavior, understanding our connection between our mind and our immune system. This will say it all, that unforgiving affects the psychophysiological state, which is what leads to unforgiving state of mind, leads to ill health and not being well over the long run. So a sustained pattern of unforgiveness results in poorer health, to say the least. Forgiving in itself will improve health and well-being, to say the least. Love this statement of Eknath Ishwaran, whom I have learned a lot from him, and his spiritual workshops that I have attended a couple of decades back, even 20, 30 years back. I've been attending his spiritual workshops and came this close to going and living in a place where he has created in California, Blue Mountain Center for Meditation. The title itself, Blue Mountain Center of Meditation, is based on where he grew up in Kerala, Nilgiri Hills. I came this close to convincing my family members to be able to go and live there after a retirement. That's how much I respect his work, his lifetime work. And he says, when you live with someone who can forgive from the depths of his heart, you're living in heaven here on earth. Says it all. Mahatma Gandhi recently said, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And from that strength came out all the movement of non-violence. It reminds me of a little cartoon. I forget the characters of the cartoon too. So profound, just like the fairy tales we read in our kindergarten days. It has such deep philosophical meaning, whether it is Alice in Wonderland or Hansel and Gretel. Many of those favorite fairy tale books that we have read. This little cartoon comes to my mind. One character as from, it's not Winnie the Pooh. Never mind. The other character, he as the character. What do you want to be when you grow up? And after a pause, the character says, I want to be kind. I feel like this is what has been translated in Mahatma Gandhi's life to non-violence, which in modern times There are tools available and books that have been written by that name, and it's called violent communication. We are still understanding that non-violent at the level of communication, he has showed through his behavior, and just he lived that statement when he said, you be the change that you want to see in others. And this is the reason how and why we got the independence to our country. There may be many different views, especially in these days. We have not gone deep into understanding a great personality like him. Otherwise, it's not just somebody just giving the title, he's the father of the nation. In the truest sense, we got the democracy. And now we can call ourselves the mother of democracy, the nation. It is the mother of democracy. And I was just seeing on the TV, I don't have TV, I don't watch TV. At the airport yesterday, I was saying, I don't even know. It was saying Mother of Democracy, G20 or something, some conference that our prime minister's was on the TV screen. That was a big billboard on that that came out. Now we call ourselves Mother of Democracy, our nation. And that came about only because of the non-violent movement that Gandhi took us all as nation. And I see the results of that, not just in this country. When I go out to different countries, when I lived in US, the people, and especially the African Americans, being motivated and inspired by Mahatma Gandhi. My apologies. Having been inspired by Gandhi's life, you will see just one person changing his life can help change the lives of others, not even just around him, and many other nations too. The whole humanity can change. So, to finally conclude, this mantra for building, nurturing, and meaningful relationships through forgiveness is not just a mantra for well-being, but also mantra to evolve. So we need to learn to forgive so we can forgive to learn and evolve. And this is the mantra to live in harmony, to live in harmony at an individual level, to live in harmony within the family, to live in harmony within the community, to live in harmony at a national level, to live in harmony at an international level, to live in harmony with the humanity, to live in harmony even with the environment. So just forgive. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Usha ma'am. It was a very heartful talk on forgiveness in interpersonal relationships. I think we can take up some questions from our participants. We have another 15 minutes. So I request all the participants to use the raise hand button and put your question whenever I speak up your name. So we start from Parulben. Parulben, please unmute yourself and ask the question.
Thank you so much for really very beautiful and sharing your wisdom and learning with us, Ushadi. It was really very useful. While I understand all the logic and what you say, why we need to forgive and everything that you say, I have one very big question is how to do it. It is like, while I agree, I was thinking about some experiences that I have, maybe in family, maybe in work, like with colleagues and all that. And I really want to, I mean, there's no argument about it, but I don't know exactly how to do it, because I know that it keeps coming back. You forget it for time, and then something happens, something triggers, and it comes back to you. So I understand it is not forgetting, but how do I do it? How do I
Parul,
process within myself?
got it, Parul. Great question. Today it's just a talk, so we need it to make you. This is part of the emotional well-being session of the holistic healthy living course, that how the Nisargopachara Kendra has beautifully put together, and they are evolving. We have seen, both Vasant and I being part of this session, we have seen how this section on emotional well-being has evolved. So this is just a talk to bring awareness, that is all. But on top of that, if time permits, and Vasant is going to take us through one of the ways, and even that probably is going to be an abridged version. And even Yogakshema has evolved. How many times we have done this forgiveness workshop? And I know for somebody like Vasant and when he put this together for his own, I would say, students, yoga students that he teaches over several years, they said just for a few hours is not going to be enough. We went away and then were in that mode of thinking and feeling and understanding. We did a 2-day workshop. That is how much it takes. We literally immersed ourselves and then tried to answer every possible question that was raised there. So this is only to bring awareness. And how to forgive, we have two approaches. One is left-brained approach, and another is a right-brained approach. This we came across, we evolved the right-brained approach much later. The first way was the left-brained approach, and then we felt different people need different approaches. And then now we know, both Vasant and I, it's not even just different people need different approaches. All of us need both the approaches. So both left-brained and right-brained approach. Left-brained at times becomes intense if the person is ready to do that, or if they have not understood all these aspects in a logical way, it can become even more intense. That is why we make it go through in a logical, scientific manner. Once all the doubts have been cleared, and then the left-brain approach is the way to go, and the right-brain approach, that we need to keep doing it again and again and again. So if time permits, Vasant will take you through the right-brained approach today itself, Parul. Vasant, would you like to add anything?
Yes, definitely. Our plan was to go through the right brain approach after we finish the Q&A session. So we can take a couple of questions and then go on to that.
Vasant bhai, can we take first the right brain approach and then proceed to Q&A so that majority of the participants will be with us, and then whoever has the questions then can stay back for a longer period of time? Or do we want to take the questions first?
Yeah, I think since there's
There's only
only
one
one
hand
hand
raised.
raised, finish with the
But-
question.
Right.
Is what I felt, so that we
Yeah,
can
but
actually
we can
end with
do that,
thought.
Vasant. However, Vasant, however, that right-brained approach will truly work once the doubts are cleared. If we do it again, we get into the same way, whether it is left-brained or right-brained. If we still have doubts with this, it is not just putting a tick mark and doing it. I'm sure Vasant will come back again just for half hour if the participants are ready. If they're not ready, it is not about giving another tool. But let us not go in a hurry and then put tick mark, because people want to do it. It will do more harm than good. This is to bring awareness and to be convinced and to clear all the doubts. And I can assure you, both Vasant and I feel so strongly about it. We are prepared to give more time. But let us not hurry this, because this is how we feel strongly. Whatever doubts people have, and I can assure you, the doubts will remain. And even if we have to do this in the next session of HHL course, so be it. It will work even more beautifully, rather than just hurrying it up, is my opinion and view, Vasant.
That's right. So let's.
Yes, Usha ma'am, I understand that.
Only one question, one hand raised. So we hope.
Yes. So Kamal Nayan bhai.
Pranam, Usha ji, Vasant ji. It was wonderful explanation, and this reminds us of Shama Virasya Bhushanam. I had two questions. One is a sort of a repetition of Parulji's question. She asked how to implement. So many times we are being wrongdoing, we are being insulted by somebody in relationship. We forget it and then forgive it. Again, we are being insulted or being harmed or abused. Again, we forgive. So how much we should go on forgiving? Because in Mahabharata also, Sri Krishna took revenge on Shishupal after, say, 999 forgiveness. So please explain.
We have to keep forgiving until it doesn't hurt us. We have to keep forgiving. If we have to live with that person day in and day out, to be able to make even little sense to them, and they will be, it will lead to at least some changes in the other person. But if it is not that easy, Kamal Nayan ji, because we think we have forgiven. It's a process. We keep forgiving at different levels. That is why I ultimately say, scientific way of forgiving with these tools, yes, we need to do that. It will only take us to a certain level. Until we go beyond that, I can assure you it is not impossible to be evolving even through such situations. if we put a time frame into this, I will put that time frame as until our last breath. And we're just talking about whatever, 50, 60, 70 years, until our last breath, which means I'm making it as a hopeful statement, not, oh my goodness, I thought they're going to show us some tool so I can come out of this suffering right away. I can assure you it cannot happen. It's a process. It's a lifelong process. And if we have done it properly, it's not about the other person. The other person will change, and hopefully in our lifetime. If we don't have this hopeful statement, if we don't believe in this, we won't be able to forgive the way we should be forgiving. And again, it is not about the other person. We forgive for our own sake. Every time there is a thorn in our foot, do we get, how many times did I get a thorn in my toe and a foot? Enough is enough, right? We keep pulling it out because we don't have the means to cover our feet with shoes. And then we develop means to wear the shoes rather than just taking off the thorns. That is the first thing we do. We clear up the path to take out the thorns. They keep coming back again. We walk in a different place, there are thorns. And then finally it occurs to us, we need to wear shoes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think we are done with the questions.
Bharat.
Yeah, Usha aunty, can I add something
Please.
regarding Kamal Nayanji's question? Hello.
Yes, Bharat.
Yeah. Kamal Nayanji, what I feel is forgiveness is more at a mental level rather than physical level. What I have understood is to basically remove out negativity from our mind towards that person. Whatever action needs to be taken, I think it needs to be taken. Whatever barrier we need to create or whatever action we need to take for the person who is either insulting us or making use of us or maybe doing something wrong to us. Otherwise, we will become a punchbag. That is also not, I think, the correct way to practice forgiveness. That is what I have understood.
Yeah. And not that exactly, Bharat. That is not what we are saying. This is where I keep saying, separate out the person from the actions, but not out of revenge.
Yeah, definitely.
The word that you use, revenge, that is why my answer went that way. Not out of revenge. Whatever we need to do to fix things, we need to do that.
Right.
Not because of revenge. Revenge means then we have not understood forgiveness.
Right. Definitely.
Absolutely. Thanks for bringing that up, Bharat.
There is one more hand raised. Pinky ji.
Namaste, good morning. When I hear these lectures, I understand these are not destinations, these are journeys. And I would be at a certain point in this journey. But when I understand, somewhere the final point or the destination, there are times I get anxious also that probably I am at point 1, point 2, and I have to reach at point 10. This is probably not related to this lecture, but in general to all of these lectures, the awareness that I have to reach to this point 10 also brings anxiety. So how do we deal with this? I mean, how do I deal with this?
Okay. I will answer in a little different way and then see. At least I believe this is a journey and not a destination, because if we understand life as a cyclical process, there is no one point to reach in the circumference of the circle, right? We keep going round and round. In that way, there is no destination, whether we take one lifetime, many lifetimes, or any situation. If we have not learned it properly, it keeps happening. Not if we have not learned the lesson in a truest manner, may not be from this person, from another person. We keep getting hurt. So it truly is a journey. Life is a journey, and even that end point, what we call it as what you want to call it as 10, or that is again a reachable goal, 10. And then for me, even death is not a reachable goal. If you believe in it's a cyclical process, I'm again saying in a very scientific way, from an evolutionary perspective too. If you believe in these things, then you see, we just have to keep learning and enjoying. For that, the tool that I use is to be in the moment. That is when you can come out of that feeling anxious, to be in the moment and to be doing the right thing each time and every time. And even that, it is so hard each time and every time, not just for the other person, even for you, to be kind and compassionate and loving to yourself too, just so you can be that with others, because we can only give what we have. If we are not kind to ourselves, if we are not loving and compassionate to ourselves, we cannot give that to others. But we cannot stop being kind and loving and compassionate to ourselves and then forget about others. There is no difference between the two. Again, I stress on the point of the guided meditation that Vasant took us through, with the interconnectedness of all beings. When we go, we have to reflect on these things. Then it's a different way of looking, I know, than what we are used to. But if we truly make a paradigm shift in the way we are looking at life itself, and the way we are looking at the challenges, and the way we are looking at the suffering itself, everything becomes an experience for us to be learning. That's why, like the phrase of being a lifelong learner, to be able to be more kind, to be able to be more loving, to be able to be more compassionate and empathetic and whatnot. Vasant, if you want to add anything to this.
No, Auntie, that's fine.
Parul Chaudhary. Parulji, please ask your question. Parulji, your voice is not audible.
Okay. Is it audible now?
Yes, it is audible.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Usha ji, you raised something which has sort of tickled my mind about the karma theory and sufferance. And I just want to clarify maybe, or I want you to dwell a little bit more on it, so that the process of connecting the dots continues. which is you said something to the effect that what happens is for you to grow and not for you to suffer. So sufferance is part of your personal growth or evolution. Am I making that connect rightly, or am I
Yes.
going
Yes, suffering is part of growing and evolving. Many a times, maybe some people can do it at times. When we are not suffering, we go through life in a beautiful manner, enjoying and not paying attention. That's how it's supposed to be. When there are no challenges, we just breeze through. Only when we face challenges that we are not able to overcome them, that is when the suffering starts. And that is when we learn. And that is where we go deeper. And there is no end to learning about this mind of ours, about how to be in this world, how to be with other people. Of course, the only way we can make it so simple, according to me, if we go to the spiritual level. Otherwise, at a different level, at a lower level, we keep on facing challenges and we keep on learning one after another time. Yes, definitely suffering will lead to evolving, but not with everybody. We have to make that happen. If we are in the victim mode or if we are blaming, we won't be able to learn. So it is not a way to evolve. Suffering is not a way to evolve if we are still in the blaming mode. If we are still in the victim mode, it will not lead to evolving. That is why I said with right knowledge, we need to know the common purpose of humans, of all humans, is for us to be evolving. And many times we don't even know we are here to evolve. We have gone through life many decades without thinking, because we were just in the flow, enjoying and going through ups and downs and whatnot, right? And once we get to the stage of understanding, no, I have to be able to come out of all of this, because it's my own children that I have raised. If they are the ones who are causing me to suffer, who can I blame? Right? It reminds me of an example. I'll say this and then I'll stop. We bite our tongue, right? How can we blame our teeth for biting our own tongue? It still causes pain. It's our own teeth who has bit the tongue of ours, and it even bleeds at times. Who are we to blame? We need to take these interpersonal relationships to that level. If we have understood and gone through at a deeper level what Vasant took us through, that guided meditation, we will be able to understand. Thanks for that question, Parul. Vasant, do you want to add anything to that?
No, these are very, very deep and nice questions for me also to dwell upon and revisit some of these topics afresh, which I thought were settled in me, but they're nice teasers in a way to keep going, rather than saying that yes, they're settled and I have all the answers. Good questions, Parul.
I think Vasantji and Usha ma'am, we have taken up all the questions.
Yeah, so should we go ahead with the next part, primarily the meditation part? But before I go over the meditation and also to set the background, we would like to show you a very short 4-minute video. It's quite extremely powerful, very emotionally sensitive. So be careful. Do see that video. It's about 4 minutes. It's a real incident that had happened in the West, in the context of Virginia shooting. Just to give you the background about that video, it's about a man who had killed his own wife. He is now in jail, and the son is going into the jail seeking for forgiveness. So let's look at the video very carefully in that context. Thank you. Now we will go through the right brain approach towards forgiveness meditation. The questions about how to forgive, one of the approaches, that is what we'll cover today. So to go over this meditation technique, again, I will invite all of you to be comfortably settled, keeping your eyes closed. Keeping yourself completely relaxed. Let's connect once again back to our breathing. Connecting with our inner self, using the power of the breath. Slow down our breathing. Let the breathing be slow and deep. Allowing ourselves to experience the depth of this forgiveness meditation practice. I invite you to slow down. Slow down to find the present moment and get anchored into the present moment. Present moment is here and the present moment is now. Find the present moment here and now. It is all about the freedom we have in the present moment. The freedom to choose can only be exercised in the present moment. Forgiveness is a choice. Is a choice that we can exercise in the present moment. Now, consciously bring into your mind someone who has caused you harm intentionally or unintentionally in thought, words, or deeds, whatever it may be. Just bring into your mind just one incident that might have caused you harm. Let us focus on only one at this point of time. Anyone that pops up in our mind. Let yourself picture And remember these in many ways. Try and recall the entire sequence of events of that particular hurtful incident. Try and recall the conversations that took place during that incident. Try and recall the context and the background of the entire situation of that incident. With your eyes gently closed, recall the details of the person's appearance, notice what feelings arise for you as you bring the person to your mind. And now expand your awareness beyond the breath to include the entire body. Simply noticing the sensations in the body internally or externally. Just feel as you're recalling that incident. Bring your attention now to the thoughts. To the thoughts as they come and go. Seeing each thought as it comes up in the mind. As a thought, as a passing event. Witness those thoughts. Just like as if you are witnessing the birds flying in the sky, leaving no traces of those birds onto the sky. Just witness. Witnessing as if you are the sky and the birds or the thoughts are just coming and going. Leaving no traces behind. And now bring your awareness to the emotions that arise in the body and the mind. Become aware of them objectively whatever these emotions may be, maybe frustration, maybe restlessness, maybe peacefulness, sadness, whatever it may be, maybe joy or fear. Just simply notice how the body, mind, and the heart are feeling right now at this point of time. You may recognize that by not being able to forgive the other person, we are hurting ourselves and causing us harm. And when you are ready, begin to offer that person forgiveness. Remember, it's a practice, it's a process. Simply acknowledging whatever comes up for you with a non judgmental attitude as much as you can. Just forgive, let go. Once again, reminding ourselves that our inability to forgive is actually hurting ourselves, harming ourselves. Let us learn to forgive for our own well being. Go at your own pace, watching your thoughts, witnessing them, not feeding into them. If you feel that it's becoming intense, come back and feel your breath, the movement of the breath. Not manipulating the breath or controlling it, but simply becoming aware. This beautiful life force in us. Now, in the process of trying to forgive, you may say to that person in your own mind, using that person's name, I forgive you. I forgive you for the ways you have harmed me intentionally or unintentionally. I forgive you. I forgive you. You may repeat this at your own pace a few more times within yourselves. Deeply trusting and having a faith in yourself in this deep self-talk in trying to forgive. Faith in this science of forgiveness. Trust yourself to forgive in a way that feels right for you without getting lost in the content of the story anymore of whatever has happened. Just forgive. I forgive you. Say it with the bottom of your heart. I forgive you. Now let go of the images or thoughts. Noticing how you are feeling. And bringing your awareness back to the breath. Feeling the breath. Letting the awareness ride the waves of the breath. Beginning to take a gentle journey of awareness through the body. Inviting the infinite possibilities of letting go. Possibilities that are held up within us because of our inability to let go. Let us just let go, let be. Just forgive. And now you may just mentally repeat this after me. If I have caused you offense in any way, knowingly or unknowingly, in thought, word, or deed, then I seek your forgiveness. Michchami dukkadam. Michchami dukkadam. Michchami dukkadam. And now let us chant the prayer for the well-being for self and all beings on this planet. Om. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah. Sarve santu niramayah. Sarve bhadrani pashyantu. Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhave. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. You may gently rub your palms over each other, generating a promptness. Keep your palms over your eyes. Relax your eyes, eye muscles. Give a nice massage to your facial regions, neck region. And looking at the palm, gently open your eyes. Thank you all. Thank you. That's all we had, Ravish Bhai. You can.
It was very powerful, Vasant. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we conclude today's session at this point, and I would once again, on behalf of Nisargopchar Kendra, thank you, Usha ma'am and Vasant ji, for being there and suggesting the topic and conducting such a wonderful, heartful session on forgiveness. Thank you very much.
Thank you.